Hello. I am so excited to do our episode 8 of Walk With Me. And today I want to talk about a very near and dear to my heart topic, because I think that it's life-changing. So I talk about it obviously in my book because food is the first chapter, and I made it that way because I think next to faith, food is by far the most important thing that we can focus our efforts on. Not only can you absolutely transform your health, but your quality of life is absolutely, there's no way it's not optimized with proper nutrition. So I want to be able to use today to give you some awesome tips about things that you can do right now that you can start changing in order to optimize. Sorry, I feel like I have so I am wanting to not only give you some action tips that you can use right now, but I also want to be able to give you some good information that's going to hopefully resonate with you, that you can kind of like keep in mind as you move through your day. So first of all, protein has to be prioritized. I actually did this topic on, I'm going to cover all 3 of the macros. So 4, because we will talk about alcohol. So with protein, carbs, and fats, obviously, if you want to have any additional information, you can check out my website. But with protein, it has to be prioritized, like especially for women. I cannot even emphasize this enough. And when I'm asked on podcasts if there's anything that I would say to women, like a myth that I would debunk, and that's it, is that it's not about calories, it's about protein. Protein is where it's at. Then on top of protein, being able to have your focus be on complex carbs, right? So we want to be able to make it so that we have fruits, vegetables, beans. Those need to be the stars. Really try to focus your efforts there on carbs. And so one of the things actually that I have seen, and there's always all of the mixed messaging and things like that, but that come from fad diets and whatever. But with tracking net carbs, if you've ever heard of that, so you basically take the fiber from foods and deduct that from the total carbs, right? So broccoli would have a major deduction because it has a ton of fiber. So it wouldn't be all of the carbs that it is. It would be all of the carbs minus the fiber. So I encourage clients who are really trying to consume more fruits and vegetables, they can go over on their carbs. If MyFitnessPal actually tracks net carbs if you toggle that feature on, but I think you have to pay for it. But one of the big benefits from fruits and vegetables and beans is when you're talking about fiber, you're talking about insoluble and soluble, which both have massive benefits and help with colon cleansing, which is huge and majorly beneficial, not only for regularity, but for colon health. And I don't know about you, but one of my main things is I definitely don't want to be having anything happen with my colon as I get older. So trying to just make sure that you have everything in place to have preventative, perfection going on in that area from fiber. Plus it makes you feel full longer. It's like protein. It's just, and they actually call it the poor man's Ozempic because it makes you just not hungry. And so fiber is you can get psyllium fiber, and that's the fiber that you mix into your water, or you can get fiber from your fruits and vegetables. So that's with complex carbs. Definitely want to be kind of focusing on that. We're going to get to refined carbs in a hot second here. But fats get a bad rap. We need to start looking at fats differently. I was talking about this in the fats day for the 75 hard challenge, but we have to change that mindset where all fats are bad. That's not the case at all. And we absolutely need fat in our diet. I just had a client message me earlier today. She was like, I had fat-free yogurt with blueberries and I've been starving all day. And it was yeah, we need fat. Why would you have the fat-free yogurt? And it makes it so that, when you have a fat-free diet, you're hungry all the time and you're going to be craving carbs. So that's the other thing too, is with your body is going to seek fueling from either carbs or fat. if you are deficient in one, it will seek out the other. So if you are cutting carbs, you have to increase your fat, and vice versa. So the reasoning behind that is your body needs fuel, right? So it's going to get fuel. It needs to be able to get your brain to put food in your mouth, and of the right kind that's going to give it fuel, right? So when you have a low carb diet, let's say, right, we want to be really emphasizing those fats and making sure that every time that you have protein and that little bit of carbs for whatever you're consuming, that you're packing fat in there too, because you want your body to be literally a fat burning machine. So it works wonders, actually. So if you think about it, right, and this is just to kind of give you a little bit of an illustration, but let's say your body needs fuel, so it's going to turn to carbs or fat. Let's say you drop your carb content to 25% of your daily calorie intake, right? So those carbs are going to be at 25%. Let's say you put your fats at 40 to 45%. Okay? So when your body exhausts the 25% fats that you're consuming in your diet, right? So it's going to blow through those. Where's it going to turn? To the fats, right? So we're going to start processing all the fats that are in our diet. So it gets really, really happy with that, right? Because it's a perfect form of fuel. So it's burning through the fat, burning through the fat, burning through the fat. Then it gets to the end of all of the fat that you've consumed in your diet, right? But it's in fat burning mode. So where does it turn? Stored body fat. Yes. So if you're going to employ that mode, right, where we're going to be higher fat, lower carb, the real focus needs to be quality fat. You have to be focused on quality fat intake. So it's going to be, olive oil and olives. I love olives. Nuts are fantastic. Chia seeds, flax seeds, things that are going to be, I put olive oil in everything. Dairy can have fat, so that's a great thing. Proteins, normally like lean meats, even though we want to be able to keep the fat content low, they still contain some fats. And so we just want to be avocado. There's certain vegetables and fruits and everything that are going to have more fats in them. So we want to just be focusing our efforts on whole foods that are going to contribute those to our diet and have it so that they contribute more calories too. So if you find that you are consuming less calories because you're focusing more on protein, which is very, very common, fats are where it's at. So instead of the 4 calories per gram that you get from carbs and protein, fats have 9. And so when you're designing a diet, it's really, really important though to take those into consideration, because you want to make sure that your protein is coming from, lean meats, right? It's quality protein. Your carbs are coming from clean carbs, complex, right? And then your fats are coming from quality sources too. You check those off, you're like super, super stellar. So let's talk really quickly about sugar and alcohol. So these are my nemeses. I think the chapter in the book on sugar is just, and it is so frustrating to me that sugar is this welcomed, it's just not villainized as much as it should be. You know what I mean? So we have these holidays that are so bonkers, right? And so it's like Valentine's Day, Easter, obviously the main holidays at the end of the year. Those are just bonkers. But when we start having sugar be like a main thing in our everyday, and I think that gets kicked off with the holidays, because it takes something that all of a sudden makes it okay. So we're going to have this incorporated every day, and instead of it being villainized, it's okay, well, I'm just going to have a couple pieces of it here. Or, that whole thing about your office, their love language is going to be food. Most people have candy bowls, or they'll bring cookies or donuts, it's crazy. So when you have those kinds of things regularly, it's wreaking havoc on your blood sugar. and it's wreaking havoc on your brain. And so instead of having all of those highs and lows that are just constant fluctuations that elicit insulin from your pancreas, making everything go up and down, energy up and down, I mean, it's chaos. And it just like, even just that explanation of it being chaos, imagine what it is for your systems, trying to calm everything down. Your systems want balance. So it's just constantly trying to fight. The ups is trying to balance and bring them down. The downs is trying to balance them and bring them back up. And how does it do that? So when you're plummeting down, it's because your pancreas has produced insulin, right? To bring your blood sugar back into a good, healthy homeostasis, right? But then if you tip too low, because it's just a natural effect of sugar to go up and then come down, but your pancreas has released too much insulin, or not too much, but enough, right, to bring it down, it's going to make you crave sugar to bring you back up again, if that makes sense. So even though you just thought it was like a piece of chocolate, it's just made for this process of like ups, downs, and then back up again, that now you're going to have to come back down again because the pancreas will release insulin again. It will overage, and then you will need another sugar pick-me-up to get you back up to normal. So it's just chaos. So anyway, if we can stick to whole foods, we avoid that entire process, because even something that's going to be high in sugar, like in fructose, like a banana or an apple, even though we have that high spike in sugar, it's going to be a lot less of an impact than it's going to have from processed sugar, processed sweets. So anyway, sugar is just, it's ridiculous. So and it's you can have carbs that are broken down into sugar too. So this is where we're going to talk about processed carbs. Perfect place. So, and I go off on a tangent, in the book about every one of these things. So bear with me. But with complex carbs, right, we get the fiber and we get all of the phytochemicals. We get all of these awesome benefits that come from fruits and vegetables that we do not get to have when we have processed or refined carbs like breads, cookies, cakes. Anything that's going to be a refined carb is going to spike our blood sugar, right? And it's so funny. So there was a book forever ago, and I mentioned it a long time ago, I think on one of my 75 Hard Challenge videos, but it was called Wheat Belly. And the doctor who wrote that was talking about how you can call it by any other name, bagel face, like all of these things. And it's just like inflammation is rampant when you have gluten in your diet. And it's just because our wheat isn't the same wheat like the amber waves of grain from back in the day. It's completely different, genetically modified junk. And anyway, so it elicits an allergy response or an inflammatory response from our systems. And then it's just this like, it's such a it's such a cycle of negative, consequences that just beget more and more and more negative consequences. So whether it's, eliciting fatigue, right? It just makes it so that your blood sugar is constantly low, but then we'll also have this like domino effect, whether you can't exercise and you have no energy, but then you also can't sleep. And so so then you're tired the next day. And it's like, so that's an endless cycle. There's all of these different things that seem so unrelated, but they're directly related and directly attributable to nutrition. So one of the things that I would love for people to do, and gluten, the whole other thing about the reason why I was saying about the energy is all related to the blood sugar levels. So I want to be able to clarify that, because I don't want you to think like it's just gluten that's making it so that you're tired. No, it's wreaking havoc on your blood sugar levels again. So it's just, when we have those refined carbs, they're broken down into sugars. That's how your body processes them. So then the other thing is, when you have unused carbs like that, they get stored as body fat. So talk about crazy. Oh, and as another fun side note, and that's sarcasm. So cortisol is a stress hormone, right? And so when we have stress in our body, right? So and that's whether we have like actual stress, like distress from things that are going on, in our world, or stress that we have going on in our body, whether it be from like overly exerting, during exercise, all of the different things that can cause us like physical stress, emotional stress, all of that stuff elicits a response in terms of spikes in cortisol. The other thing is poor sleep. Poor sleep elicits spikes in cortisol, and this hormone she plays dirty. So let me see, what's the best way to explain this? Okay, so if you are tired, right, your body wants to go to sleep, and if you don't go to sleep and you are staying up, cortisol will spike to tell your body to elicit a change in blood sugar, a spike, to signal to your body that you need fuel, right? Or wait, wrong. So sorry. I'm trying to think of the best way to explain this. Okay. So cortisol is going to drop your blood sugar, meaning that you need to eat something. It's going to change your brain to think, okay, I need fuel. And then you start focusing on food, even though you don't need food. You just need to go to sleep. Does that make sense? So let me back up just to clarify, so that whole blunder of me trying to figure out whether the spike or the dip was what was the effect. Cortisol, right? So you are tired. Perfect example. Okay, I'm going to illustrate. My kiddos do swim team. So there will be nights when I don't get home from a meet until like 9 p.m. We all end up in the kitchen after we get home. If I am in that kitchen, I will make myself something to eat, even though I'm not hungry. But it's because it's past my bedtime and my body is like, we need to be sleeping, but since you want to keep us awake, we're going to need fuel, right? So it's not the, you kind of have to like follow the thread of like, why am I feeling hungry right now? Are you tired? Because I will tell you, if you have a bad night of sleep, the next day when you're craving carbs, it's your low blood sugar that's happening as a result of your cortisol going crazy. So I hope that I was able to like pull that back and explain everything. Okay, so now that we're back on track, so now we've covered refined carbs, the good macros, and how we want to be able to keep those in check, the dirtiness of sugar, alcohol. Let's talk about alcohol. So if you have not already, quit drinking alcohol, which I don't think that there's any benefit to it. So I suggest that everybody abstain from it completely, especially for people like myself who do not have a friendly connection with alcohol or any addictive substance. But it's its own macro. Like your body processes alcohol in like the funkiest, dirtiest way, and it is so distracting that when you consume alcohol, it takes precedent over everything else. Like your body is so focused on trying to figure out how to eliminate alcohol as a toxin out of your body that it's like your liver, your kidneys, all your organs, all your systems are trying to pay attention to that infiltration of alcohol. So it's not just something that's like, oh, we're just going to be able to indulge a little bit. It's literally wreaking chaos and havoc in all of your systems, whether it's your brain, your body, and I mean, talk about like the, like an emotional upheaval. It's a depressant, and it makes it so that all of your systems are kind of like thrown through a loop. So it's bad news. So of all of the items in our diet, we want to make sure, like liquid or solids, we want to make sure that we're trying to get as much as we possibly can in terms of goodness out of every single bite and sip. So when we have a meal, or when we have a glass of water or juice or whatever it is, I want you to start thinking about them as awesome opportunities, right? And to really get excited about like, okay, what can I pack into this meal or snack or, drink that's going to benefit my body in the most amazing ways, right? Is it berries, packed with antioxidants and powerful phytochemicals? Is it leafy greens, so rich in vitamins, all kinds of, flavonoids that are going to be packing a punch in terms of powerful, free radical protection. I mean, lean meats that are going to help you not only feel full, but are going to provide all of your muscle systems with so much support and help it so that your body can produce all of these awesome enzymatic reactions without issue. Or healthy fats that are going to be fueling your brain, making it so that your synapses can communicate, beautifully with one another. It's all of these awesome things that are coming together. Complex carbs that are going to provide clean fuel to your body instead of dirty fuel, Everything is either going to contribute or take away. And so the more that we can focus our efforts on really trying to eat to fuel our body best, it's amazing. It's life-changing. It's such an awesome experience, and it's such a beautiful opportunity to be able to, just make it so that every day and every way that we can possibly, choose foods that your body can use. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, don't distract with junk. We're only here for this very short period of time, and we want to make magic happen. Like, we want to wake up feeling great, right? And we want to be able to sleep well at night, and we want to be able to move well. So back to that inflammatory, I used to think, like, who cares about inflammation? So when your joints ache, that's inflammation. When your face, flushes, or you have like a rash or some kind of an irritation, that's inflammation. When you are having like, some kind of like physical response to foods or activities, or like, you can have an inflammatory response even elicited by an emotional distress. So it's all of these different things. Like, our body is in this inflammatory state, and so it just starts to, I just think of it as being like, it's almost like glitchy, like it's like there's a glitch instead of it just being smooth. Like, everything is kind of like so, and it's sorry for that illustration there, but like, I have a client right now and we're calming her inflammation, and she is having the most incredible improvements, like, across the board. Like, her sleep has gone from, really, really haphazard, and like, she could track it and see, how much REM she was getting, how much deep sleep she was getting. And all of these numbers are completely transformed. Like, it is absolutely bonkers that now her sleep quality is completely changed. And it was after like the first week, like 7 days. And, she's got like all swelling that happens just from, walking a short period of time. And all of a sudden that swelling is dissipated. So there's all of these things that our body kind of uses as like signals and red flags, like, hey, I need some attention, or, this ingredient is not for me. So I will tell you from my personal experience, before I eliminated gluten, I was having, oh my gosh, just so many different symptoms that I couldn't, they weren't like directly, like, if I put gluten in my mouth, then I would spark some kind of reaction. It wasn't like that. It was like this gradual, this gradual onset display of really weird symptoms, not only in like how I felt, but also how I looked. Like, it would literally look like my eyes were so swollen, and my entire body was like super puffy. So we have pictures for my 40th birthday. We went on a beach trip, and the first day we're all taking pictures. By the last day that we were there, because everybody was like, throw caution to the wind, we're gonna have birthday cake, and we're gonna have pizza, we're gonna do this, and we're gonna do that. By the last day, I don't look like myself. I look like a completely different person. I am so swollen, so swollen, so puffy. I should include the pictures here. I should absolutely include those pictures here. I mean, they're embarrassing, but it is absolutely bonkers with the difference between the start of that trip and the end. And it was only like 3 days of just gluten, and that was the only, like, gluten and sugar. So, you know, don't discount what your body is trying to tell you. And if you're having like upset stomachs or an upset stomach, whether it's, you know, gas, bloating, diarrhea, constipation, you know, that's one of the first ways that we can really start addressing issues, right? Like your body is screaming at you. And so when we can eliminate fried foods, one of my very best friends, Connie, she's a diabetic, and she said that when she has fried foods, there's no amount of insulin that'll drop her glucose levels. Like she's completely insulin resistant. So like, let's take that information and apply it to our own lives. Like we need to stay away from those man-made oils that are just awful for us. We need to stay away from processed foods. We need to stay away from sugar. We need to stay away from alcohol. We need to stay away from gluten. And I know, and I wish I could tell you that it's easy to do overnight, and I can't, because it definitely, you know, takes some time and it takes some effort, and you will have to say no to some things. But I will tell you that if you can start with trying, right, then you'll start making progress. And then you may even find that you indulging in it again is enough of a deterrent. Like I will tell you, that trip, going on that trip for my 40th birthday was an eye-opener. I mean, like it was like, I don't want to do that anymore. And I can't even imagine if that was the physical representation. I can't imagine what I just did to my systems, you know, like internally, what was happening in order to be able to produce that kind of awful result. So be kind to your body. And if we're trying to get these beautiful, you know, benefits from our body, like long life, one of my clients wants to be able to do this, like this, you know, she sits down all the way without touching anything and then comes back up. Like we need to have strong bones, strong muscles, capable muscles, you know, flexibility, all of these different things. But also we want to have energy. We want to have vibrancy. I don't want to have to take a nap in the middle of the day. You know what I mean? Like we need to be able to fuel our systems with the right nutrition so that we can thrive. And then also pay attention to our body. Like, you know, I should have been talking about it this entire time, but it all comes down to your body's cues and clues. Like your body is trying to talk to you and tell you what those red flags are, and everything throughout your day, whether you're consuming foods, whether you're, you know, consuming drinks, whether you're engaging in new sleep habits, you know, adopting a new, workout routine, whatever the case might be, it's trying to tell you whether it likes or doesn't like certain things. And if you're not paying attention and acting accordingly to keep what it likes and ditch what it doesn't, you're setting yourself up for failure. But on the other hand, if you are paying attention and you are, you know, making sure that you are maintaining a diet and a fitness routine that your body loves, it's absolutely incredible how you can, you know, see, feel, and experience a completely different life, like quality of life that's just incredible. No bloating, weight loss if that's your goal, you know, all of these different things that start to regulate. Like your body wants to be well, and when you provide it with the right nutrition, it's absolutely incredible what it can do. So I hope this has helped somebody who's listening. And I appreciate you listening to my whole rant on nutrition. And if you have any questions, I implore you to reach out and let me know, and I'll be happy to help however I can. All right, I will talk to you soon. Sending you lots of love, tons of virtual hugs, and I hope you have an amazing day. Bye.